This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, Parth.
Hey Raj, how are you?
I'm fine, Parth. What about you?
I'm I'm good, thank you.
So today let us enter into the next part of our course and very, very important one. So let us start off with Spring Framework. So what is the main use of this Spring Framework is Spring Framework is used to develop web and enterprise applications. Web and enterprise applications. When I say enterprise application, they are distributable, means application to application communication. Web and enterprise applications very easily and rapidly, and develop it very easily and rapidly. You can even say robust also. Robust means whatever the applications we develop by using Spring, they are robust applications, means strong enough. The applications are strong enough here. Now, in this Spring, we are having one very, very important term, dependency injection. We are having one important term, dependency injection. Spring is mostly identified with dependency injection, which is a flavor of inversion of control. Is a flavor of inversion of control. IOC, what we call the reverse way of doing inversion of control. I'll elaborate more on this. Now, what is this dependency injection? Let us understand. If you take a class employee, if you take a class department, in department you are creating employee object directly. You are creating employee object directly. Now, in the test class, we create department object. When you create the department object, then what is going to happen here is it's going to allocate memory for your department object. Under this department object, you are creating the employee object. You are creating employee object. So your EMP object will get created here. So in this case, these two objects, we call it as tightly coupled. These two objects we call it as what? Tightly coupled. Coupled means dependent. Means the dependency is more between these two objects. So when you go with the tightly coupled applications, the applications are not robust applications. Somewhere they'll break, and performance wise they are very low. So we should not go with tightly coupled applications. Then here in this example, let me document also. In the above code, EMP object and DEPT object are tightly coupled. We should not go with the tightly coupled applications. If you take now the class as employee, and if you go with one more class, department. In department, you are making employee as property here, a data member. So this is your property. This we call property. So you are making employee as property here. Now, in this class department, we go with a constructor which takes employee as argument. Then we'll say this dot emp equal to emp. This dot emp equal to emp. Now, in the test class, we create employee object separately. In the test class, we create employee object separately and we create department object separately. And to the constructor of department class will pass your employee object. In this case, what is going to happen here is it's going to create your employee object and it's going to create your department object. Now what you are doing, you are giving this EMP object to department. You are giving this EMP object to department using what? A constructor. Using a constructor. So this only we call dependency injection. This concept only we call dependency injection, giving one object into another object, that we call dependency injection. Now in this case, these two objects are loosely coupled because we have created separate objects here. These two objects are what? Loosely coupled. Always we should go with loose coupled applications. Okay. Now here when we use constructor to give the value to the property, then we call it as constructor injection. The terminology important now. We call it as constructor injection. We can even make use of setter method also, like this. Set emp, which takes employee as argument. Then we'll say this dot emp equal to emp. Then we call this one as setter injection. We call it as what? Setter injection. So in Spring, we can inject one object into another. In Spring, we can inject one object into another either by using constructor injection or setter injection only. We can inject only two ways. Right? Clear up to here, all of you, the meaning of dependency injection? Right? Now, what is the need of Spring over here? What is the role of Spring in this type of cases? Now, let us understand. So to understand the need of Spring, why we are using Spring framework nowadays to go with the projects, let us understand that part. Now, for that, we should understand the life cycle of an object. The life cycle of an object is object creation, object usage, object destruction. Object creation, object usage, and object destruction. Okay. So as a Java programmer, we create object and we use the object. But object destruction is taken care by Java, as Java is automatic garbage collection. So in Java, object destruction is taken care by Java, as Java is automatic garbage collection. Here what we are having. So when you go with the life cycle of an object, we create object and we use the object and finally we destruct the object. But in Java, object destruction is taken care by whom? Java only. Because of what feature? Automatic garbage collection. So Java is automatic garbage collection. So our work is only to create object and use the object. Now, understand carefully. There is a problem over here to the developers, that is in a scope. So here understand carefully. This is the main introduction of Spring. When you take the scope means what? The curly braces only we call scope. The curly braces scope. This is your scope. This is your scope. Now, in between the scope, I am creating some objects like object 1, object 2, like that, object 100. In between the scope, we are creating hundreds of objects. Now, when the objects are ready for garbage collection, when they come out of scope, the objects are ready for what? Garbage collection. Now, let us suppose object usage is completed. Let us suppose object usage is completed in between the scope only. Even though object usage is completed in between the scope, still it is going to use the memory. Because when they come out of scope only, the objects are ready for garbage collection. Like that, if you are having so many objects, like that, if there are so many objects which are using the memory unnecessarily, even the usage is completed, will the performance gets degraded? Have you observed in your mobile or laptop, like if you are opening lot of apps, will the performance gets degraded? Have you observed that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right? So same case here. So when the objects are occupying the memory unnecessarily, even though there is no use of that objects, then automatically the performance will get degraded. Like if you take our real-time examples, like if you go with any shopping cart application, so we'll be having the customers. So if you are having 100 customers are placing on an average of 5 orders, then how many objects will get created here? So 100 customer objects will get created, 100 customer objects will get created, and every order again 5 orders. So that is near to 500 objects will get created, right? Okay, so 500 or 5000, whatever it may be. So if it is 1000, again that will get increased. 10,000, that will get increased. So many objects will get created. So in your application, if there are so many objects get creating, and if you are not releasing that memory, finally we get an exception like no memory exception, out of bounds exception. Okay, so stack overflow exception. Okay, so these are the exceptions what you are going to face. Then, so to avoid this, what I should do now? As a programmer, what I should do? Once the object usage is completed, it is the programmer responsibility to make object ready for garbage collection. How to do? By making that object assigned to what? Null here. Or we are using this close concept, no? Con.close. Do you remember this? JDBC. Once we use the object, once the task is done, we are doing the closing operations. st.close. Do you remember all these things? Right? Who is writing all this piece of code? Programmer. So here also, if you are having some objects, after using the memory, once the object usage is done, we have to make that object ready for garbage collection. How to do? By assigning to null or calling the close method. Then that object will be ready for garbage collection. Then who is writing this piece of code here? Who is writing? Programmer only, right? Who is doing this task? Programmer here. So this is the hectic burden to the developers. So the programmer has to identify the objects which are no longer used and make that objects ready for garbage collection to go with efficient application. So this is the main problem to the developers. That is the place where Spring will come into picture. So this is the place where Spring will come here. This is the main background why they have introduced Spring for us. So what is this Spring? In Spring, the life cycle of an object is taken care by Spring container. Means Spring only. Simple words we say Spring container, but it is Spring only. So Spring only will create your objects to you. As a programmer, we have to just use the object, and destruction is taken care by Spring only. Programmer need not worry. As a programmer, our work is only to use the object. Spring automatically identifies which objects are no longer used, and they'll make that objects ready for garbage collection. So object destruction is taken care by Spring only. So even the closing operations, our work is only to get the connection. So closing operations are even taken care by your Spring only. We need not worry about closing operations. All these things are taken care by Spring. Okay, that's the reason people are using Spring framework while creating projects. Right? In Spring, the objects are created using Spring Bean XML configuration file. In Spring, how we create objects by using what? Spring Bean XML configuration file. So understanding this file is the major concept of today's class. Okay. Now, in this Spring, we are having so many modules. So we'll be covering some of the important modules like Spring Core or Bean module. In Core or Bean module. So, and we are saying this dependency injection as inversion of control. No, what is the meaning of inversion of control? Reverse way of doing. Up to now, programmer are creating objects, but now Spring is creating objects and giving to us that it's a reverse way of doing. That's the reason the name has come inversion of control. Now, so the modules what will in Spring Core or Bean module, Spring DAO module, very important one, means data access object, mainly for database. Here we go with 3 submodules, that is Spring JDBC module, Spring ORM module, where we integrate with Hibernate, Spring Data JPM module, very important one. Then we go with the Spring MVC module, one more very important module. This is mainly used to develop web applications. For web applications, one more important module, Spring Boot module, Spring REST module. This is used to develop REST APIs. This is mainly for distribution purpose. Distributed means application to application interaction. Right? So these are the modules what we will be learning. Every day I want to do one module only to make it simple, to make it easy for you so that you can practice it in a proper way. I want to do only one module every day. So today I'll go with Spring Core or Bean module. Day 2, Spring JDBC. Day 3, Spring Hibernate. Day 4, Spring MVC. Day 5, Spring Boot. And day 6, Spring REST. In day 6 only, Spring REST, along with that only, we'll go with Spring Data JPA module. So total 6 days for us to complete this. Right? So anyone having any questions up to here?
Like Hibernate is ORM module, right? Spring is not specific to anything like that.
Nothing. It's not specific to that. It's for entire development. Either you can go with a standalone or web applications or database connections or REST APIs. Anything you can develop using Spring.
Okay.
Okay. So whereas Hibernate, it's only for database. Got it?
Yes.
Now let us start working with Spring. Let us develop a Spring application. Let us develop first Spring application today. So its main objective is to understand this XML file. So the beauty of Spring we'll understand in tomorrow's class when I come to this Spring JDBC module. Now, developing a Spring application in Eclipse using Maven. Okay. Now, the first step, create a Maven project. Create a Maven project. Let me show. Open Eclipse. I have taken a new workspace, Spring here, any workspace you wish. Let me close the welcome screen. Now create a Maven project like this. File, new Maven project. Click on next. Then in catalog, say internal. In catalog, select internal. In artifact ID, go with this Maven-archetype quick start. Say next. It will ask you the group ID. I'm saying Spring. Artifact ID. I'm going with the project name Spring project. And package com.spring. The values are your wish here. Then say finish, which creates the project here. Let me document. Click on File, New Maven project. Click Next. In Catalog, select Internal. In Artifact ID, select Maven-archetype quick start. Click Next. It will ask you the group ID. Let me say Spring. Artifact ID, the project name, in project, package where you want to store .java files, com.spring. Click Finish. Now, once the project is created, now the next step is we need to add the dependencies. See, for every module they have given different dependencies. So whichever the module we use, we can add only those dependencies. So for Spring JDBC separate dependency, for Spring Data API separate dependency, for MVC separate dependency, like that. So here I want to go with only core module, so we'll go with add the following dependency in between dependencies element of pym.xml file of Spring project. The dependency what we add over here is, just to go to search engine like Google and search here for Spring Context Maven dependency. Spring Context Maven dependency. Open this Maven repository. Now take the version 6. I'm going with the latest one, released July 13th, 6.0.11. So copy this dependency, and we have to paste where? In pym.xml file. In pym.xml file, in between the dependencies element, paste here. Okay, that's it. Copy this dependency, you add it in pym.xml file. So when you add Spring Context, see, it's going to add the dependencies here. It's going to add your Spring Beans and even core also. Both the modules will get added here. Now, however, I'll share the code. Just you can take the code from my pym.xml file. This completes the setup. Now the next step is, let us create a bean class. So here we call create a Spring Bean class. Here we call what? Spring Bean class. In Bean class, let me say book in com.spring package of src/main/java folder of Spring project. Let us create one more bean class. Create a Spring Bean class library in com.spring package. Let us go with the code library. Let us create these two classes now. Under project, under src/main/java, under com.spring, right click and say new class. I'm going with the name book. With the properties, await int book id, await string book name. Create a constructor, right click and say source, generate constructor using fields, generate. So create a constructor, and when a class contains parameterizer constructor, it is the responsibility of the programmer to create default constructor. Now, how you are giving value to the properties here? How we are giving value to the properties here? Using constructor. So when we use constructor to give the value to the properties, then we call it as constructor injection. We call it as what? Constructor injection. Create library, right click on package and say new class, library. So finish. Then go with the property, private book. So in library we are going to add book. Now generate setters and getters, right click and say source, generate getters and setters. So I'm using setter method to give the value to the property. This is your property. To give the value to the property, we are using setter method. So we call setter injection. So in Spring, we can give the value to the property either by using constructor injection or setter injection only. Now up to now, what we use it to do? We use it to create one test class, and we use it to create object of library, create object of book, and injecting one object in another. Like that, programmer has to create the objects of the classes. Now in Spring, we won't create objects. Spring will create objects and give it to us. How it is going to do? By using Spring Bean XML configuration file. So here what I should do? The next important step, create Spring Bean XML configuration file. Let me go with the name library.xml, any name, but extension .xml in src/main/java folder. Library.xml. Right now, right click on src/main/java and say new other XML file. Say next. I'm going with the name library.xml. Now come to source tab. Now here we have to follow the templates here. Go with the template. I'll be sharing Spring Bean XML configuration XML template. So even you can search in Google Spring Bean XML file template, you will be getting that. So the root tag is beans. What is the root tag of Spring Bean XML configuration file? Beans. Start doing the configuration. Understand carefully. We start like this. Bean ID equal to lib. Class equal to com.spring.library. So in the test class, when you refer to this ID lib, it returns object of which class? Library class. It's going to return object of which class? Library class. Now, in this library class, how many properties do we have? Please interact over here. How many objects do you have in this library class?
One.
Only one, right? And how we are giving value to property? Setter injection or constructor injection here?
Setter.
Setter, right? You are giving value to property using setter. Then when you are giving value to property using setter, then in our XML file, we have to use the element property. Property name. What's the name of the property? Book. Name of the property book. Then since this book is also a bean here, since this book is also a Spring Bean, we have to use the bean element, bean id equal to book, class equal to com.spring.book. So this property book this property book, it's again what type? Book type here. It's an object of book class. Then book class object will get created now. Book class object will get created. Then in book class, how many properties do we have? 2 properties. And how we are giving value to these properties? Using setter or constructor in this example?
Constructor.
Constructor, right? We are using constructor. Then we have to use the element here, constructor arc, value equal to 111. So 111 goes to book ID. Then constructor arc value equal to some len spring. So 111 goes to book ID, len spring will go to book name. That's it. Your XML file is ready now. Now in this one, if I create this bean inside the property element, then this is like local, means only this library can use this book bean. Now if I want to make this book bean to be used by other beans, means if I want to make it global, then you create outside like this. You create book bean like this outside. Now how this property book can refer to this book bean ID book? By using an attribute reference equal to book. Like this. This is the best suggested way of creating XML file. So in the test class, when you refer to lib id, it returns object of library, then goes with a property book. Then for this book, since I'm referring to this id book class object will get created with these 2 values, and those 2 values will get injected to this book property. Then your complete library object is ready with values. So this is the meaning called as dependency injection. I'm injecting this book object to your library. So this only we call dependency injection. Who is creating objects now? Spring only creating objects. Then Spring only will take care of destructing these objects also. We are not worried about destructing of these objects. Spring only will take care of everything for us. Right? Clear up to here, all of you? Now,
What
in
is
library,
lib here? Bean ID, lib means what?
any name, it's an object name you can consider.
Oh, any name is okay. Okay.
Anything X by Z. So in the test class, when you refer to this ID, library object will get created. It returns this object here for you. That's meaning. So we'll write the test class now. There you will understand this ID concept. Now in library, will you have only one book or multiple books?
Multiple.
Multiple. So how to manage multiple data? A list.
Yes.
Selection list. List of books. We are having list of books. Now generate setters and getter methods. Right click and say source, generate getters and setters. So set books, which takes a list of books as an argument, which is given to this books property. Get books will return the list of books. So here also I'm using same setter injection. Now how to manage multiple books here? So let me create 3 books here. I'm creating book 1, book 2 and book 3. Here I'll go with the values 222, learn Hibernate, 333, learn Angular. We are creating totally 3 books here. Now I need to add these 3 books to your books property. What is the name of the property now? Books. Since this books property is a list, we have to use the element here list. We have to use element list and simply say reference being equal to book 1. Then what will happen when I say reference being equal to book 1? This book 1 object will get added to this books property, to the list books property. Similar way, reference being equal to book 2, reference being equal to book 3. Right? That's it. So in this way, to this library, to this books property, we are able to add 3 books here. That's it. This completes our XML file. Now, the last step, we have to test our application. Create a test class, library test in com.spring package. Library test. This we need to run. I click on com.spring package and it's a new class, library test. Main method. The first step is we need to load our Spring Bean XML configuration file. How to load Spring Bean XML configuration file is by using an interface application context. By using an interface application context equal to the implementation of application context interface is done by using a class, new class path XML application context. To this, we need to pass our XML file. So this is the way to load our XML file. Go with the input statements. So by using application context interface, we can load our XML file. The implementation of application context is done by using a class path XML application context. Now say here library lib equal to context.getBean lib. See now. So when you say context.getBean lib, it goes to this library.xml file, goes to library.xml file, sees this id lib. See here, it should match here. Lib sees this id lib, then creates object of library class with a property books, and these 3 books will get injected to your books property. These many things will happen when you read this line of code. Now this lib object is ready with values. The lib object is ready now. Now once the object is ready, now I can able to invoke get books because the properties books is ready with values. Now we have to get the books. So call which method? And one more, getBean method returns object, go with the typecasting. Now call here list books equal to lib dot get books. That's it. Traverse your books or book b colon books into the object b here. That's it. I'm calling get books method which returns a list of books. I'm traversing your books and printing the object book here. Now so when we run, we get the class name along with hash code. So what I should do, whenever you print objects in SOP, we have to override toString method here. In book class, override toString method, where we return book ID space. Run the code again. Here we are getting 3 books here. Clear all of you? The first application.
The lib library lib is a bean, or in double quotes lib is there, that is a bean.
This is your bean.
Yeah, here it is in library.xml, but library test .java.
An object. This is an object.
That one we can give anything, right?
Anything. Can
But
go with any name.
context.getBean of lib should be matching with that bean name. That's what you said.
Here lib should match with this lib compulsory. Here also book 1, book 2 I am referring now. This should match with this IDs compulsory. Whatever the reference you are doing, that should match with the IDs here compulsory. I cannot take here if I take something like B1, but here it is book 1. No, it won't accept.
Okay.
Right. Here it is your wish. This is your wish.
Is there anything mandatory that the property should be private all the time? In Pojo class, you made the properties private. Here also, you made a book
Yeah,
number.
it's always suggested to go with private properties, right? Our concept of core part, encapsulation.
Correct. So it's a practice or mandatory?
Practice. It's a practice only, not compulsory.
Okay.
It's a practice. It's always good practice. Make your properties as private and give the value to properties using setter methods or any other methods.
Okay.
Encapsulation, simple. Simple words to say encapsulation. Even if I remove private, it's going to work. No problem at all.
Okay.
Okay. So please practice this one. And tomorrow, let me go with a new module, very, very important one. There you will understand the real picture of Spring, why people are using Spring. You'll understand in tomorrow's class. Tomorrow we go with Spring JDBC module. Okay. Right. Thank you all. Thank you very much.